Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So today we're going to help you solve your issues you've been having with range on your GMRS, FRS, and other kinds of walkie-talkies you might have kicking around, even CB stuff, for example. Anyway, so what happens here is you've got a couple of radios, one on each end, we'll say, one person each end. Now, these radios are rated for 3 kilometers, and they're put out 2 watts of power. So as long as you stay on an even plane with no real obstacles in your way, no problem. You can keep going and going and going and going. You can actually get well beyond that 3 kilometer range, which we did. We got 5 kilometers, but not without some dead spots. Okay? So to explain that to you, if you've watched my video on the range test on this, you'll notice that the one road I was driving on has a lot of this sort of crap going on, right? So, and where our place is kind of like what we like to call the valley or tornado alley, because it's so windy that I don't get to fly my quads as much as I'd like to, because it does get windy here. But I do get a lot of nice days too. Anyway, so we're down in the little valley here. My wife's outside, standing outside with, one of these units, and she knows how to talk into it, right? Okay. So I'm going up the hill, we're doing good, and then I go down and she gets really staticky and then kind of disappears for a second. Then I go back up the road and she comes back again. No, that's clear. But then I start getting higher elevated. But then I go for a real big dip and it's like, gonzoed. Even standing outside of the car, couldn't get a hold of her. So then I just proceeded to keep going because you never know, I get another high point. So I end up getting up to this restaurant where I stopped, and sitting in the car, of course, I can't talk to her. She can't hear me, I can't hear her. Why? We're only 5 kilometers apart. We're only 2 clicks past. So it should be completely useless, right? Incorrect. See, these radios, even though they have little range things on them, they're actually quite underrated. Your distance is not as limited as you may think. Okay? There's actually a lot more there than what they say there is. Because what happens is you have what's called the horizon effect, okay, and the curvature of the Earth. So the Earth curves. So all you flat earthers, sorry to bust your bubbles, but the Earth ain't flat. Oh well. Deal with it. So when you start going like this, well, now you're both down low. You got to transmit through the planet. It ain't going to happen. So somebody has to start moving up in order to make the trip to go down this way, okay? Once you get that way, bazinga, you're transmitting loud and clear, okay? Now, there is going to be an ultimate limit because you've got wattage to keep in mind, and of course, these antennas are only going to be so good. But then you can buy extended antennas for even longer range. Some radios you can actually increase by adding extra voltage for radios that allow that. There's a lot of ham radio walkie-talkies as well as CB walkie-talkies that can run on as little as 6 volts and up to 12 volts without any issues at all. These, however, are limited at 3.7 volts. I would not want to try and even double my voltage to try and put out more juice. I'd rather go with the second option, and that's to put a longer antenna on. Now, there's also this other thing that you can do, which I did, and we found out that it didn't work. And all the guy came back with me on when I told him he was full of crap was that maybe, the wire wasn't long enough or it was too long. Well, I went by your specs, buddy, for, the kind of radio that, our radios aren't the same, but similar. Anyways, in further investigating since then, I found a ham operator, a real one in my opinion, who has a lot more experience at this sort of thing, of putting this extra ground wire on to create a ground plane. And he found that with the radios, 19.5 inches was more like it, not like, what was it, I think 7 or 8 inches we did, or 9 inches, but 19.5. And that worked quite well, okay? When somebody on a video doesn't show you the actual proof of it being an operation, that's when I like to really question things. But I still question it anyways, because some things can kind of be only because I start reading other information on the internet myself about the whole horizon effect. Hello! And weather conditions can also affect your range on your radios. So if you've got really crappy weather, depending on the radio, that could be your best friend or it could be your worst enemy, okay? And that is actually true, and it is dependent on the radio systems and how well that radio can actually penetrate through that kind of weather. And I found it going either way depending on the radios. But there is a trick here for any of you guys using HTs, especially. Holding it this way, you get the best transmission beam out, and you're also at the tallest point. If you hold your radio this way, bad. If you hold it this way, bad. And I've seen it done this way. I don't know why, but that's also bad, okay? Because now you're blocking all of the signal pretty well. The radio waves are not going to penetrate through your body and then out the other side and still have any real strength to them, okay? Or they probably won't penetrate anyway. So you need the best amount of that radio wave, okay, to make it out. Now, ultimately, I mean, what you do is you unscrew this and you go buy yourself a magnet mount antenna for your car, and you get an adapter that can screw into this thing, and then you have the antenna mounted as high up on your vehicle as you can get it. And that's going to be great. And you'll also have the best ground plane too, over a little friggin' wire that just dangles out and really does nothing. Because when the wire, even though it's in a plastic casing, touches your skin, it grounds out to your body, which may not necessarily be a good thing either. Pros and cons to all this stuff, but I still have yet to see anybody produce a video with this ground wire being attached, or a wire being attached called a ground poised or whatever, that actually functions and does the job right. So until then, I say that there's probably something wrong there. But anyways, everybody likes to try a hack of some sort to try and get some range or put out a video saying, oh, you can do this. And but anyway, longer antenna, if you can do it, yes, definitely do it. If you can't, because you are stuck with most of these FRSs and GMRSs especially, they're kind of like fixed, and you're not legally allowed to mod those things to have longer antennas on them, so you got to stick with what's in there or buy a better set if you're having problems. But the first thing you got to do is, hold the radio right, try that first. You're going to find that's a big improvement than going this way or going this way. Or like I said, some people have done it this way. Also make sure your batteries are good and strong as well. That is a huge impact on your ability to transmit and receive. Okay, so your batteries have to be good and strong. And so that's definitely a major thing. Because as your batteries get lower, so does your wattage output. Okay, and that also can affect overall distance. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's 1 watt, 2 watts, 5 watts, whatever, okay? Now, I have seen a guy who got 57 miles, was it? Yeah, 57 miles out of a Bowfang I think it was the UV5R. Anyways, it was one of the Bowfang radios. And those radios aren't rated for more than a couple kilometers either. But, again, it's the elevation of those repeater towers to where he is, and what obstructions are in the way, and he managed to get 57 miles. What's that tell you? Okay, line of sight systems is what these things basically are, and when the radio, when you key it up, the radiation from the antenna comes out this way, kind of like a donut, right? So if your donut is up here, it's going to expand out better, but if it's facing this way, now your donut is going this way, so it's going into the ground and then straight up this way. It can't really go out that way very easily, and if you're not facing the same direction as the other person, it definitely ain't going out towards them, right? And the same thing, you do it this way. Now the donut's behind your back and it's radiating out the sides this way instead of being able to go the direction it needs to go, which affects your range a lot. But also, like I said, the hill thing, you got hills. I wasn't that far away, and I get into a hill and these things go silent. I come out of the hill and back up again, we can talk again. And then there was a limit to that being in the car and still being elevated, right? So still being in the car and still being elevated, it wouldn't work in the car, but as soon as I stepped outside of the car, now I'm above the height of the car, you know, so now I'm up like 6 feet, right? And voila, 5 kilometers away, I was able to talk to my wife. What's that tell you about range and hills and horizon? Okay, so before you start complaining and whining some more on your reviews saying that the radios you bought were crap because they have no range, think about the fact that a lot of your problems are probably operator error. I'm not saying defects can't happen, okay, but definitely operator error has a lot to do with it, and so many people make the mistake. I did too when I was younger, when I was into CBs, because I used to always hold the thing this way, and I was talking, and I had this long telescopic antenna, because my first CB radio my parents bought me was a 3-channel TRC, if I can remember right, I think it was, I'm not sure if it was a one of them anyways, at A, B, and C. It came with channel 14, and we bought channel 19 for it. And I think that was the only channel I got. I may have had all 3, but anyways, regardless, I talked skipland on that thing. It had a long antenna, you know, and that's what came with it too. Big long telescopic sucker, and I talk skipland with that. Now there is no skipland to be had on GMRS and FRS radios, so you know you kind of get what you get. But on CB radios on the AM band and upper and lower sidebands on the CBs, you can talk skipland. You can talk for thousands of miles away. I've talked to people in North Carolina, Florida, Arkansas, all kinds of places when I, you know, with the CB radios. I've even done it in the last couple of years because I'd gotten back into the CB for a bit, but then I got back out of it. Now I want to get a nice brand new, like, you know, CB walkie-talkie to start with, and then eventually get a base station again when I get the money, because that's going to cost me like $500. But it's got upper lower sideband and everything else in it, you know, so it's like cool stuff. Anyways, so the bugs kind of hit me again. Better that than the guitars, though, you know. I mean, I got lots of guitars and amps. I mean, all I need is a few more pedals here and there, and I'm done. So I need another hobby. But and I love radios, and I love talking to people. It's great. And so hopefully this information helps you guys out. But with your CB stuff, the higher the elevation you can get your antenna, the better. And the better type of antenna that you can get to suit your needs, the better you're going to transmit and receive much further distances than you normally would. And same as your ham stuff, you know. There are so many different types of ham antennas out there, and I'm learning a lot more about ham right now because we're getting into the ham stuff. And I've learned a lot even about using a rotary antenna and its uses. And it's like, that's kind of actually cool. I like that. But there is some antennas that just kind of work for a lot of stuff, you know. But anyway, that's the scoop. So hopefully it helps you out. So make sure that you take into account that even though you might not be affected by the actual horizon of the planet, you may be affected by hills that are in your way, which are severe obstacles. You can transmit through trees, that's one thing. But transmitting through the actual planet, that ain't going to happen for you. So that's where you got the hill problem that we ran into on our test videos with these. So when you're out camping and stuff, you know, if you're losing communications, maybe that's somebody's got to get to a higher point somewhere so that the signal can carry across and down. Because, you know, when you transmit it, it keeps expanding and expanding and expanding out and further and up higher and stuff, right? But there's limits to that too, right? So anyways, hills can act like the horizon and really kill off your signal quick too. But anyway, ciao for now, and stay tuned for more, and we'll catch you later. Thanks for watching.